Good morning, Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives. Welcome to NFR Hangover. Man, I think it's starting to catch up with me. I was really having a hard time getting up this morning. So we are season 2, episode 4. We're going to do a little wrap up of round 3. See, this gets confusing. By the end of the week, I'm not even going to know what day it is, let alone what round we're on. You guys, today we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk about the rodeo. Yes, don't get me wrong, but we have some really great guests, and we're going to talk about some of the aspects that we've already talked a little bit about on the platform between the three of us. But now we're going to bring some specialists in. They really know. So you guys are not going to want to miss this one. Stay tuned. Man, I feel that music really works for me today, because when I woke up this morning, I was like, I was feeling it.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm right there with you. Like I say, I think somehow you and I are paying the price for Jim Boy being in Vegas. I just don't understand how he did it. He got voodoo doll or something.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. Although I think he, I don't think he was real pleased with his experience. Not only did his fantasy team and all of his picks kind of tank. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about it, but tank. Yeah. And it took him like an hour to get into the facility.
Yeah, the picture he sent you and I about the line to get to security was, you could just tell the frustration in his text. You could tell the frustration from his text.
You could hear it. Yeah, you could just hear it in his text. So if anybody knows like what in the world was going on with security or getting just, in the door last night, man, comment and let us know what in the world was going on. I mean, not that it matters, although I feel like we solve all the world's problems here, so maybe we could help them out.
Every morning for 10 mornings, 11 mornings, we got a wrap-up show. We solve the world's problems, especially the NFRs, but I don't know if it's just being gone for a year, and the new protocols. I've talked to a lot of people that are over there, and they say it's just different, and it's I don't know. If you watch the bareback riding, on the TV, you can see the seats. It takes a while for them to fill in because people are still coming in through security. I mean, maybe somebody doesn't want to watch, them sing "Dust on the Bottle" from 1995 as the opening. Maybe that's why everybody was late to get in there.
Yeah. So it's really funny because I mentioned that to my dad this morning, and he was like, "Yeah, that's a great song." And I was like, "Yeah, from 20 years ago." Like we can't. We're the NFR. We can't get like some new people up in here to sing some songs from this decade.
I walked down on this playing, and I'm watching, and I have to Google because I can't remember
who sings this.
Who sing this, and when was it? I think I was almost in high school. I was in high school, or I might have just graduated. I mean, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not what I expected. But I think we got
all the words. It's an older song.
Exactly. I mean, I'd rather them have Sir Mix-a-Lot and Baby Got Back. At least they get the whole place jumping. I mean, that's my jam. But I think we got spoiled last year.
I'm embarrassed to say it, but my son knows all the words to that song.
Well, yeah, all my nieces and nephews do too, and my brothers are so happy that I taught them that. So. But I think we got spoiled last year, I think, with the openings.
We did. I absolutely agree. And, man, I don't know. Maybe they just don't. Maybe they're not listening. Are they not listening? Because I guarantee that we are not the only people talking about the amazing openings last year.
Maybe
are they not listening, or do they just not care and they're doing it Vegas style? Or, hey, so I learned something. Is it in the contract that it has to be this style?
You know what? It quite possibly could be. Maybe they want to differentiate themselves and say we are not Texas. I mean, there's so many layers to it, so many factors. But yeah, I mean, and we could be Vegas style, but man, let's there's some great up and coming performers I think they could get probably that would blow the roof off that joint and get everybody really pumped up to rodeo.
Okay, so Tara, I'm going to show your comment here. I appreciate that. Not many new songs are worth hearing these days. Also true.
Very true. Very true.
That is also true. I appreciate you saying that. Although, I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
would it be too much to have some fancy like up there? I mean,
but I tell you what, Cody Johnson's got a great deal with Resistol. I'm sure, maybe they can't get him because he's too big now. Like I say, Austin Whaler, we know Austin. He's got some great songs. There's some of those good young country cowboy singers out there. Aaron Watson up there. I just think it may not be as upbeat, but we don't need to rock the roof off the place. But you put one of those guys up there singing their songs. That's just my opinion, and that and $5 will get you a small cup of coffee at Starbucks, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Not at Starbucks. Stop talking about Starbucks. We don't want to give them any billboard time here.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
How about City Brew? Y'all don't have City Brew where you're at.
I was going to say no.
In Wyoming and Montana. So Tara says, I get your guys' point, though, especially for gaining new fans. True. So, excuse me. I got a frog in my throat this morning. For those of you guys that maybe don't follow or are new to the platform, in the last year, I went to auctioneer school, and I probably did. In fact, Josh and I were counting last night because somebody was like, oh, how many have you done? And I made the comment probably maybe I could count them on two hands. Actually, last night was my 5th fundraiser.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm super new, but I did auction for the Special Olympics of Wyoming last night, so I'll give them a plug because it was a really fun time. It was our Festival of Trees, so but I'm definitely feeling it in my voice today.
This is right in this area here.
Yeah, right here. So by the end of the night, I was done, and it made me realize that I actually do need to work out to do that. So, perfect lead-in. Yay! That worked out. So we're going to talk something different today. Yeah, I appreciate that you guys laugh at my dumb joke. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to talk about rodeo, but we're going to talk about two aspects that we've already talked about here, and that is the mental game and the physical game. So I'm going to blow up the screen and bring a whole lot of faces in. All right. Good morning. Good morning. So I will, we have Katie Hollingsworth, who is a mental coach and has a super strong background. I'll let her kind of give us an overview there. And then in the bottom corner, we have Logan Corbett and Doug Champion. So these gentlemen, look at them. They even look buff in the camera. These gentlemen do some personal training for cowboys. I assume they do personal training for average Joe. Also, there's a difference there, and they're going to talk about it. But there, I would say personally, I think what y'all do has taken off in the last 2020, 2021 in a different way. You're not meeting all of your clients at the gym. It looks different now. And so we can talk about that, but then also specifically how it is different to train for rodeo versus anything else. So let's talk a little bit about the mental game. Katie, if you would just give us a little bit of your background.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. So yeah, I've been a part of the rodeo industry the bulk of my life. College rodeoed, where I met my husband, Cody Hollingsworth, who's the head rodeo coach at Oklahoma State. We rodeoed together at Colorado State University. So rodeo has been a part of my life for a really long time. I was super blessed to have been a part of the National High School Rodeo Association. At the time, it was the Wrangler division. Now it's just the junior high division. So I was their director for a few years, produced the finals in Gallup, New Mexico, and then went on to start my own business called the Western Integrity Agency. And I did all the corporate sponsorship for the WPRA, the IPRA, had really fantastic marketing clients like Platinum Coach Trailers, Flair Nasal Strips, Cactus Saddlery, Signature Quarters. So a lot of really great Western industry folks. And so I managed to, as many small business entrepreneurs, I managed to absolutely internally implode by working, 18 hours a day. And so I had to figure out how to do some pivoting, because as you indicated, life is changing, life's evolving. The need for the mid-level marketing agency changed dramatically because there was a lot of free, things like Canva that you could go start creating your own marketing aspect, Wix, those kinds of things. You didn't need us to build your websites anymore. And I'm going to be 100% transparent. The politics of high-level professional rodeo really kind of got to my heart. Like there were decisions being made that I couldn't be a part of anymore. And so I made a really dramatic shift. I loved leadership. I loved the idea of mental performance. I had struggled with some of my own performance anxiety. And so I started looking into what does it mean to become a coach? And originally I was thinking it was going to be a business coach. But it actually, as I went through the program, I decided being a mental performance coach really made a lot of sense for me. So I went through 380 hours worth of training. So becoming a coach is very much like getting your master's. And so I'm ICF certified. The International Coaching Federation is our governing body. And so I started that process and quite literally walked across the road to my neighbor. And I said, hey, I know that you have this AAU basketball player in your house. Here's what I want to do. What do you think? So she was my first paying client, and it just built and grew from there. So 4 years later, I work with about 12 private clients a day. And then I'm also on contract with the coaching school I went through as a success coach for students. When I say students, this is not young people, which I think being in a college environment with my husband, we're so used to students being young people. But quite literally, I coached the associate dean at Purdue the other day because she is pursuing a coaching certification. So I get to work with really high performers. I actually have athletes who are competing at the NFR this week, collegiate level athletes. And so I get to work with such a broad spectrum of amazing people and use my background in the rodeo industry to be able to help change lives.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So many questions. And I would say, you guys, this is really not me ask the questions and you answer the questions, because we don't want that. I have probably very little to say compared to what you guys do. So the whole premise is that we all just have this BS session. So if you guys have questions, Doug and Logan, please, don't be just sitting there waiting for us to engage you. Jump in and join in. So don't be shy. I'm super intrigued by that. In fact, I may ask you some questions when we get off, but I think that's a piece that we talked about this a little bit, but that's a piece that really should start young. I mean, I talked to my daughter who is just now starting to get into some organized sports and about manifest it, put it in your head. I'm a good dribbler. I'm a good free throw shooter. I'm trying to start this early. And that's really where it should start, because especially at that age, it's so easy to get in your own head. Oh, they're so much better than me, or they look better than me. They have better shoes. So I think the mental game it's always been so important. I just think now more people know that. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And you talking about having a younger person, and actually kind of where my next, project is really leaning toward is parents of athletes, because I think a lot of times we do well-meaning things that we don't realize what message we're sending. I think in the rodeo industry, a lot of times we try to motivate kids. We're do you know how much time, money, and effort we put into this? I need you to show up. Well, you know what we just gave them? It's this huge weight on their shoulders that I have to perform. And so, we as parents, and I have a 16-year-old that, she struggles with her own anxiety, and it's we don't mean to deliver that to them. We're trying to motivate them, but often we're giving them things that's very unintentional. And so being able to give them the right language to counteract, we were talking a little bit before the show, social media, and I don't want to be on the social media bandwagon of it's terrible, but it's so hard for young people to distinguish these well-cultivated, beautifully, photoshopped images. And I think those of you all who are in the physical fitness world can attest to this. They're making things look like reality that are not. And so these kids think, well, that's real. And we have a good friend, and actually a client of mine, God love her, but she went to a high school rodeo and she had an excellent first day. And she wrote on her social media post, dominated the high school rodeo. Well, she didn't mention the next day that she hit 2 barrels, right? All she did on her social media was dominated. And so that starts becoming the good stuff. Right? Am I dominating? Am I being this over, exceptional? Is it good enough to put on social media kind of a thing? So not only are we dealing with traditional mindset, how do I get out of my own head? How do I get out of my own way? And then how do I get out of all of that? How do I get that removed from me as well?
Well, it's we were talking before, we came on. I was talking about I've got a 14-year-old, same deal. We had a junior rodeo last week in finals. Had trouble the first day, whatever, came back, wins around the second in the breakaway, but then she's nobody posts that. That was an ugly loop. It wasn't And so instead of taking the gratification of winning the round and putting herself back in position to win the average or have a shot at the year-end title, she was upset because it wasn't this perfect, the perfect picture you see with the curl breaking around and everything coming together. And it's just, it's teenagers, it's mindset, but with social media, it's out there, and it's hard, not just for teenagers, it's hard for adults too, but it's really important to try to help these kids get their minds right.
It is. And there's so much rhetoric that's paid to it's 90% mental, and yet how many people are actually doing anything about it? And you'll ask them, like, I'll get asked to come in and do a speaking engagement, and I'll have them actually stand, what's the percentage do you think it is? 50%, 60%, whatever. We get to 90 and like the whole classroom's still standing. And it's like, well, what are you doing for it? Right. And we've got these physical fitness trainers, and you guys, I'm a physical fitness enthusiast, like nowhere in your realm, but like, I love to work out every day. Well, if I don't go work out every day, I feel like garbage. Like mentally, I feel like garbage. And it's like, people don't think that just because you post something on social media that says it's 90% mental, that you've done anything for it. It's kind of like saying, yeah, being physically fit is really important, and you never walk into a gym. Like they equate so, in my world, they're equal in, my physical and my mental capacity to compete. They've got to be working hand in hand, or we come back to this place of stasis where we started, right? If you're not constantly working out, you're going to go back to where you were. You're not suddenly going to stay fit because you got there. And it's true of your mental game as well. If you're not constantly cultivating this state of growth mindset, working on it, working with it, figuring out how to manage fear, like fear doesn't go away. And I have so many clients that are like, I got to get away from the anxiety. I got to calm down. I got to this and that. And I'm like, well, why do you do what you do? Right? I'm married to a bull rider. Like, why did you do what you do? Well, it's the adrenaline. Then why are you scared of it? Why are you getting away from it? Step into it. Figure out how to use it, not just be in fear from it. So that's a lot of the kind of work that I do with my clients.
No, I totally agree with that. And the consistency is the biggest thing, I think, with just the consistently putting effort in, even if it's just a little practice each day. We say the same thing with the fitness realm. Like, people are so hooked on having to do this hour and a half, 2 hour workout and do all these things and kill themselves in the gym. And it's like, in all reality, that's the opposite of what we want you to do. We want you to create something that is, you can do it every day. And if that's 10 minutes, 20 minutes of walking a day, cool, that's a great start. And once that becomes easy, your brain, like you're saying, you're going to feel good after doing that. And your body naturally is going to be like, hey, let's start doing a little bit more. Or, on the mental side of things, it's like, you talk yourself through that fear or whatever you're dealing with, and you overcome it that one time, and you're like, holy crap, I did it. Like, I can do it now. I have the tool. And it's just consistently putting in that practice of not letting your brain overcome you, essentially. And that same thing, I dealt with that when I was competing, when I was rodeoing hard. I had a ton of performance anxiety, and I was constantly worried about how I was going to go to the next rodeo. And I was rodeoing to live, and you can't win when you're rodeoing with that pressure on yourself. It's just way too hard. And then when I finally I had some things happen, I had to stop for a long time and reset everything, came back and just had fun, and everything went so much better. But the consistency was the biggest thing, with anything. I think in life, you have to just consistently put that effort in little by little each day, and it's going to amount to a huge amount. And we tell our athletes, like especially young athletes that think they have to be this high level athlete at 14 or 15 years old, and they go lift as heavy weights as they can. They work out as hard as they can. It's like, if you went to the gym 2 times a week and you did, a 90-minute session, that's 3 hours of work throughout the week. If you worked out 6 days a week and you only did 20 to 30 minutes a session, you're like doubling what that person did in those 2 days. And that person that does it 2 days probably feels like they're doing more than that person that's doing the 10 to 20 minutes. But in all reality, that person that's doing less but more frequently is probably going to excel way further than that person that's only putting in the work 2 times a week, but bigger amounts.
Yeah, for sure. Katie, I want to just go back a little bit. The social media aspect is really, really difficult. And I think that Logan and Doug probably can attest to this also. When you have I've tried to step away from social media, and I have 2 businesses that kind of rely on the social aspect. So, my husband and I are real estate agents, so we really need to have a social media presence there. And then, of course, Bullfrog Creative, which really is just all social media. But one of the things that I've noticed through Bullfrog Creatives, as it's kind of an influencer page, is that when I'm watching other influencers, I'm seeing exactly what you said. Like, everybody's posting this stuff about being positive and being authentic and blah, but how many of them actually are? And I think that Doug and Logan, I'm sure that you guys are seeing it too. Like, this word, like, it's like a trend word now, this authenticity, but truly how many people are doing it? And like, I try, like, there's no picture that I post that is a professionally taken photo. Like, that's just not, one, it's not in my budget because there is no budget. And two, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, I don't have time for photo shoots. I got a paying job that I have to do. So I'm doing selfies, or, Josh is taking pictures of me and it's awkward, and I post all of it. And, I actually didn't post it, but I did kind of a road to the auctioneer school, and I videoed every practice that I did in my car. I videoed everything, and, maybe next year I'll put it all together and post it. But no, that was my theory. Like, I wanted to document this journey to become an auctioneer, and but I like, fear crept in for me, and I didn't post any of it because I was like, this sounds like crap. Nobody's going to hire me if I show them this. And so I think that piece is so important to see, even now in our field and in sports and rodeo in general. You're not quite seeing it, but I think that more people are talking about that authenticity and posting your struggles. And, just like your daughter, Tony, like, not every loop is going to be perfect, and you get it done.
Well, and that's what I told her. I said, go look. I mean, we'll go back and go. We've got all kinds of things DVR'd. Madison's run at the American one of them. I mean, the loop was, I might be wrong, I'm not sure, but loop wasn't clean, but it won her $150,000. I'm like,
got it done.
It doesn't, you don't have to be perfect to win, and it doesn't have to always look perfect. You just have to go
for perfection, but you get it done.
Right. You've got to just complete the task, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. And it's like you guys are saying about working out and stuff, and just a real quick backstory on my journey. In the last 14 months, I've lost 200 pounds. I had weight loss surgery in September of 20. But that was a tool that helped me. But I mean, I was walking before I got to where I've been jogging now every day, 4 miles, 5 miles, or walk and rotate. But it's like you said, it's what I feel. I enjoy it. But I've had people say, well, the surgery is what lost the weight. Well, surgery is a huge tool that got me here, but it's the dedication to stay hooked and keep doing it. And they go, well, you can go 4 miles now. I was walking a quarter of a mile. That was it. And then I'd walk a week later, I'd add another lap to my deal. And it helped me build up every day, or, I want to go a little bit more, but I've also had to rechange my mind now because I wanted to overtrain. It's like, oh God, I've got to go an hour. I've got to go 5 miles. And I started to burn myself out. And so I've had to readjust my mind frame that it's not about that. It's about understanding the joy of what I'm doing, and less is more sometimes. So
people can say what they want to about the surgery, but at the end of the day, there's just as many people that have the surgery and gain the weight back as there are people that have the surgery and keep it off. So, I mean, and I was telling Doug, I was like, I haven't seen you since college finals, and it's been a few years. And so he's like, well, Tony Branquinho is going to be on there. I was like, oh, I know that guy. And then we got on there, and I'm like, I don't know who that dude is.
I was the only one who thought that, because I was like, well, wait, maybe I'm not with who I thought I was.
Exactly. I was like, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And the more we got in, about 10 minutes in, I'm like, dude, I think that guy has lost like a lot of weight, because I haven't seen him in a few years. And so, dude, you're looking awesome, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it was, I've had tremendous support with this whole deal. I've had probably a handful of people say that, you took the easy road out. I took the route that I needed to help save my life. And I mean, the best decision I ever made, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there is no easy road to losing 200 pounds. Sorry.
That's kind of what my wife, we were talking the other night. She's like, people don't know, they don't understand, and I don't need them to understand. I'm doing it for me and for my family. And that's once I figured that out in my mind, that I'm doing it for me and nobody else, it's been a game changer, and that's the mental side of it. So
that's so cool.
I think that applies to everything, like the whole social media aspect, all of the authenticity, quote unquote type stuff. Like people just need to start doing more things for them and not worrying about, this, I don't know. It's like a filtered life, right? Like they put like the positivity filter on everything, and it's all about the good and none of the real. So when you start doing things, for yourself, like you're saying, man, the results and just, the physical, the mental, all of it comes together, and you're just doing you, and it's a cool thing.
It's awesome.
Well, so now that you guys have woke up a little bit,
yeah, I've got a couple.
I do have to give a backstory. For everybody that's watching, I sent Logan a text message at 8:45 Mountain Standard Time, and we go on at 9. So you guys know what time we start. And I said, "Hey, dude, you want to come on the NFR Hangover this morning?" And he's like, "Yeah, let me see if I can get Doug." So kudos to you guys. We do appreciate your time and appreciate you coming on. And I feel like now that you have at least a little bit of your coffee down, I can see the whites of your eyes now. So everyone is a week. But will you guys give us just a background, maybe introduce yourselves, and I don't know, give us a little bit about you?
So I was the rodeo coach at New Mexico State University for a few years, and from 2016 to like 2019, something like that, long enough to know that, actually rodeo coaching is not for me. So that was how long it took. But when we got done, I decided to rodeo I was like, man, I want to try to really see. I kind of somewhat rodeoed while I was coaching, and it went really well. And I thought, well, what could happen if I was able to give my full attention to rodeo? And so we made, my wife and I made up our mind that was what we were going to do. I turned in my resignation, was going to leave in the spring of 2020 and so or 2019, and so I'm like, okay, cool, here we go, we're going to go rodeo. And we left, and COVID hit, and there were no rodeos. So all of a sudden I was living with my in-laws, with my wife and our 2 children. My wife was about to have our third, and I was like, cool, so what do I do now? And I decided to, I'd always been interested in fitness, and it had worked out some. And so I went ahead and I got my CPT through a company online. It took about 10 weeks and just kind of learned. And in the process, Doug had already had something kind of rolling, and I hollered at him just to kind of see what I would need to do to set something up to be able to work with rodeo athletes like he did. And then we just kind of hit it off. We had known each other for a long time, but hadn't seen each other in probably 10 years. Yeah. And so by the time our phone conversation was over that day, I had a job offer. So it was really cool. I'll let him tell you about our company and stuff, though.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been working out for a long time. I had a career-ending injury in rodeo. I had a horse just roll over with me in the arena into a fence, broke my back. So I have a fused spine, and that's pretty much what started my fitness journey, was doctors telling me that surgery wasn't an option for a long time, and I need to get as strong fit as possible to help, combat whatever the nerve injury was and all that stuff. So I got really into CrossFit. I obviously wasn't doing like CrossFit type things in the beginning, but the community, the camaraderie, it was what I was missing from rodeo. So it got me pretty hooked on that. The getting to work, with a big group of other people, maybe not towards the same goal, but working hard together is a cool thing. But as I progressed through that, I actually ended up finding a surgeon, had a full spine fusion, ended up opening the CrossFit gym myself, trained for the CrossFit Games for about 5 years. And we about 2 spots from regionals every year, which is like the top 1% in the world of fitness people. It was wild. It was a cool journey, but I never want to work out that hard again. And then we just really started.
Check that off.
Yeah, right. Done with that. Everyone's like, "You want to go for a jog or something?" I'm absolutely not. I'll go walk. Walking's great, but I keep the fitness pretty relative now and like functional, and for me, not so much for the sport. But when I did my back rehab, I started realizing how many of my other buddies were hurt from rodeo and how little we did to prepare for rodeo. And the way that they're breeding animals these days, those animals are athletes, and they're not getting any less strong. Like, they're getting stronger every year and more rank, and you're not preparing your body for that, you're screwed, a little bit, especially in the rough stock riding. If you're going to be a rough stock athlete, you have to work out, you have to prepare yourself. And the biggest thing is you are preparing yourself for the actual sport, but it's the what ifs. It's the when you can't control getting thrown off. You can't control hanging up. You get kicked, whatever it is. You land funky on your arm. It's all the stability muscles that we build and the strength we build through that gives you protection through those moments. And those are the moments where your career ends. It's not when you're on the back of the horse usually. It's when something bad happens or something freaky happens that you have no control over. And that's the wild thing about rodeo too, is there's a 50% of the sport that you have absolutely no control over. It's just, you just have to ride it and let it roll, So that's another thing I think with the mental side that you probably see over there with guys is they try and think they can control the whole thing. And there's only, A, B, and C that these guys can really do. And the rest is kind of like, all right, that's just is what it is. That's the luck of the cards. So it's a lot different than any other sport in that aspect. But as for me, I've been working out for over the last 15 years and I don't know how many people I've coached. A lot of people I've coached and helped a lot of people, but started this Champion Living Fitness when COVID hit. And I worked for Cody Johnson before this. He's one of my good buddies. I was on the road with him and trained him in the band for 2 years. And when the show stopped, me and him sat down and one day he was like, I really think that you need to start that business. We'd always talked about it on the road. And so here we are. Yeah. And we're doing everything through an app now. Demo videos attached to everything, instructions. My 89-year-old grandpa follows along with it. So if he can do it, I'm sure anybody can do it.
All right. So I have my phone out. What is the app?
The app is called True Coach and it's one word. And the way it works is if you reach out, you just go to our website, championlivingfitness.com. If someone was interested, you can find all of our coaches' bios, our program information. There's a link on every page, all over the pages. It says become a client or set up your free consult. You just fill out that form for us and a coach will reach out to you, answer all your questions, make sure it's a good match for you, make sure we get you on the right program. And then we go from there. But the app itself, someone can't just log into it and view it, if that makes sense. You actually have to be added to it by our company.
Do you ever have this feeling that like the universe connects people for a reason?
Absolutely.
You guys, yesterday, and I'm absolutely not making this up, this is absolutely real. Yesterday, I committed to sign up for an online course to get my CPT.
Oh, that's
because
so cool.
I have so many people come and they're like, hey, now what about, like, I've got a female high school wrestler in Kansas who's like, her coach does not know how to coach women. He knows how to coach men. And like, he's giving her like keto drinks and stuff like that. And she's like, how is this helping me? And I'm like, what are you doing for carb recovery? What are you doing for, like glycogen recovery? What are you doing? And I'm like, I know this because I've studied this for me, but like, I want to provide something to my clients. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Champion and Crave Coaching have got to come together on something for this. Like, this feels very collaborative to me right now.
This warms my heart because the mission of Bullfrog Creatives is to build relationships across the Western world. And like, this is my jam. This is why I do what I do. Not because I get paid, because I do not, but this is legit what it's all about, is making connections and building relationships. So I'm so happy that this can be happening.
Jim Boy's not paying us this year? What?
He'll probably pay you in goats. You just get like one goat.
I have tried to get him to pay me in goats, and there's a goat I want, and he will not sell it to me. So if he's watching right now, I will take the speckled polka dotted goat in payment right now.
That's funny. So I know I'm going to kind of direct traffic a little bit here because I know, Katie, you have to go. You can only kick it with us. This is crazy, you guys. Our NFR Hangover shows typically last insanely long, 2 hours, because we get on here and we BS about rodeo for so long. So I don't know if we're going to last that long, but I'm going to focus on Katie for just a little bit because she has to go and cannot hang out with us for 2 hours. So you guys also might have to go because there was no pre-arrangement made with you. But,
I wasn't entirely sure. I thought like that's probably a good question to ask. Like, hey, how long should we plan on this? But I think we're along for the ride. Good to go.
I totally like roped you in last minute, so I didn't give you the option to ask questions.
Yeah. Zero opportunity to ask any questions.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's good.
So Katie, let's talk. I don't want you guys to feel bad about this, but I'm gonna drop you out for a little bit, and I kind of don't want to because I think everybody can add stuff. So, I'll leave you there. I'll leave you there.
I'm going to get more
See,
coffee.
Yeah, we're going to
please do. Yeah, feel free. We're very, very laid back around here. Katie, let's talk just to kind of tie it back around to obviously the NFR. We are now just almost to the halfway mark. I feel like some of the athletes have gotten those jitters out. First round's out. I mean, I think after the first round, most of the jitters are gone. But I think at this level, it's probably still hanging out in rounds 2 and 3, probably round 4 a little bit. Maybe the last half, they've got a routine. They're in a jam. Maybe they're a little bit more comfortable. But talk to me about what it's like at this level. We've spoken on this platform about how talent-wise, everybody's really good. And the only thing that sets them apart at this point is their mental game.
Yeah. So it does, when you get in this kind of position, whether it's the NFR, the CNFR, the high school finals, when you start talking about multiple rounds and averages, you have people who hit rhythms and they figure out how to keep making it work, right? And you're seeing a little bit of that now. And then you have people who start hitting a curve, right? And they're like, why can't I get out of this? Why is this not working? What's it going to take to work? And so like we were talking about before the show, sometimes people think they can just muscle through that and just go, well, I'm just going to be tougher. I'm going to show up tougher. I'm going to show up harder. And sometimes the physical aspect of the time, I mean, we're not just talking about, I don't know if the general public is fully aware, and maybe you've talked about this. These athletes are subjected to not just 10 rounds of intense competition, but they're out signing autographs. They're staying up for buckle ceremonies. They have a lot of obligations for their sponsors. So this is an incredibly emotionally and physically wearing week for them. And so what might have worked on the road, when you can just go compete, go back to your trailer, hotel, whatever, and rest, like that doesn't exist in Vegas. That is not there for them. And I don't know, you'll see some of the veterans. You're going to see the Lisa Lockharts and the Sage Kimseys and some of those who've had multiple qualifications. They know how to handle that pressure just a little bit differently. And then you see some people kind of step in and they might really come on strong in the beginning, and they're either going to stay strong or they're going to back way off because they don't know how to handle all of the other things that are going on outside of the arena.
So let's talk a little bit about a schedule. And I'm going to assume that of the wealth of knowledge that we have on this call, somebody's got to know what the schedules are. I mean, I have a brief understanding of it, and I watched actually an interview with Lisa Lockhart yesterday, and she talked about it. You're staying up late. I mean, you're competing late, and if you did win a go-around, then you're going to be at that buckle ceremony. That lasts, I went to bed at probably 12:30 last night, and I watched the buckle ceremony. So they're staying up that late, and then they're getting up. So you talked about some sponsorship obligations. A lot of the Cowboys and Cowgirls at this level have multiple sponsors, and each of them have set up autograph signing opportunities at different locations through Las Vegas. So if you have one sponsor, you probably have one autograph opportunity per day somewhere. If you have multiple sponsorships, you probably have that many sponsorship autograph signings, and their obligations. It's a part of your contract. So it's not like you can just not go, because if you don't go, then you have a potential of losing that sponsor. So I think that for those Cowboys and Cowgirls that have multiple patches across their shirts, they're looking at maybe 5 to 6 autograph sessions a day, I would assume.
At least. And you figure, okay, so barrel racers, they get up at 6 a.m. Their practice is at 6 a.m. So they're not getting up at 6 a.m. They've already taken care of horses. They've taken care of themselves. They've hauled in. And so it does become a challenge. And I know I worked on this with the clients that I have that are there. We create what we call a success formula, right? This is everything from when are you eating? How are you recovering? How are you resting? How are you managing your time? Instead of just flowing through things kind of unconsciously and hoping it comes together. I talked briefly about my own burnout with my business, and that's because it was go out and I was in get it mode. Get it, go, go, go. It didn't matter how I got it. It didn't matter how I managed it. It was just go. Well, that sounds great short term, and it's fine short term, but it's not sustainable. And so when you start, and I'm sure our trainers on the call too will talk about the physicality of what they're preparing their clients, especially their rough stock clients, in being able, I mentioned briefly about glycogen recovery. You figure, when you're a marathon runner, you're thinking about carb loading, you're thinking about, how you're recovering during the course of the race. We don't prepare our athletes in the same way. right? I mean, I'm married to a college rodeo coach. I have 2 college rodeo coaches on this call. How often are you talking to them about how well they're hydrating? When are they eating? What are they eating? How much they're sleeping? What's their recovery? What's their stretching routine look like? Like that seems to be kind of this thing that we leave off to the side in the rodeo industry, and from a very young age. I mean, we just allow them, like if they're in basketball, football, baseball, whatever, like we let those coaches handle it. But often we are the coaches at home, right? I have a 16-year-old. We are the coach at home. And so it's incumbent upon us to start creating that conversation, again, not only on the mental aspect, but the physical aspect of recovery, because we want to talk about success formula. It's how do you create success for yourself? So for instance, and I'm going to take it into an event that's not at the NFR, I have a goat tire, very high performing goat tire. And she breaks her success formula down into what time she eats her granola, when she does her meditation, when she does her stretching, because that, Heidi, like you were talking about, you didn't go out and party when you were in college. That's the level of competition we're talking about. These high performers, they're not going to leave it up to chance anymore. They're going to put it on a schedule, and they're going to manage both their physical and mental aspects. So, I mentioned briefly meditation. What a phenomenal way to start training our brain to slow down, be manageable, because the thoughts in our head, the fear in our head starts taking everything over. So what a quick and easy way to just start bringing that down. And people in the rodeo world are like, oh, that's such an out there. Like, I don't need yoga. I don't need this. I don't need that. And it's like, this practice has worked for thousands of years for thousands of athletes for a reason. Like, we need to set our cowboy, I'm too tough to do it mentality aside and start going, I need to get in the gym. I need to sit on a yoga mat and meditate. And I need to start reading some self-development books. And to your point about positivity, and I'm throwing this out there, if all you're consuming is things that say be more positive, there's actually a really fantastic Harvard study that says if you're throwing positivity at unconfident people, you make them feel worse. All right? Because suddenly they feel terrible, because it's like, well, I'm trying to be positive and now I'm not doing it. It's not working. So now I feel worse. So stop throwing positivity crap at people and start allowing them to recognize their own success, build real confidence through recognizing their own success, and then positivity will come. But you want to talk about authenticity. That's the cornerstone, is be who you actually are, identify who you are in this moment, and decide what you want to be in the future, and stop trying to throw crap on it and Band-Aid it when it's not real.
Yeah, I might have to go back to that, edit that, and just replay that. And just replay it every day before I go to work.
Well, it's rodeo, just like any other sport right now, there's all kinds of talent out there. It doesn't matter if it's in the rough stock in, timed event, goat tying, like you're talking about. The talent's out there. So it's the contestants that are putting the time, the effort, working out physically, mentally, taking care of themselves. Yeah, you're still going to have the ones that are ultra just natural talent that are going to win for a while, but eventually they're going to get caught up to by the ones that put the work and dedication and time in, work on themselves physically and mentally, and those are the ones that are going to succeed in the long term and for a long time. It's the days of just being the most talented person entered and you're going to win. That's going by the wayside. It's going to be the person that puts the time, work, and dedication in now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
We see so many people, like especially younger kids, that are, like, well, you don't really need to work out to be a good bull rider. Look at JB Mooney. And I'm like, hey, dude, JB Mooney has more talent in his pinky finger than you would have in 3 lifetimes. I'm just letting you know, there's like one JB Mooney out there for every 10,000 bull riders. So like, and while we say JB doesn't work at it, I've never stayed with him. I have no idea what he does or doesn't do. I mean, we know that he's probably not the typical bull rider athlete. However, he's extremely talented, but most people will look at that and say, well, I can just be like him. Probably not much.
Yeah.
You make a really good point. I mean, so I've never had a conversation with JB Mooney, but he has an image which was created by a bigger organization, the PBR. That might be his image. We don't know if that's authentic.
Yep.
But he could be rolling with that. I mean, maybe he does work out and he plays this image, but like, we don't know. That's all part of the whole social media business. So, I mean, that's a really good point.
I know for a fact that he does not work out.
Okay, well, I mean, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but he is, like Logan's saying, like that he's 1 in a million. He's an anomaly. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There'll never be another JB. He was born to do this. Like that's just what it is, you know. And it's those kids look up to that, and that's, you know, I think we all had those role models as kids, even if, you know, that wasn't exactly what we needed to do. He's the best there ever was, and it's, you know, kids just need to realize that's not a normal thing, like Logan's saying. But
that's not the normal trajectory of it.
No, not at all, you know. And I think we've all had those thoughts where we're like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, especially when you're younger. You're like, oh, I'm going to go ride bulls and I'll be at the NFR by this time. And I mean, you know, you get 6 months in, you're like, well, then this is probably not going to work.
You don't
out.
know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Here's the thing I'm going to tell you. Your goals do not distinguish your success. Your systems do.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. My workout guys, I'm like, yes, like this is, it doesn't matter if it's physical. It doesn't matter if it's mental. Like your goals, every single person who starts this season, October 1, has a goal of making the NFR, right? Those high level competitors, that goal does not mean they're going to make it. And so all of the people who are like, just write it down on a sticky note and put it on your mirror, that's going to make it real. Your systems make it real. Going back to it every day and reevaluating what worked today, what didn't, how do I reevaluate? Right? Like this is what makes it real for you. If you write it on a sticky note and hope like hell that's going to come true, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Whether you're an anomaly or not, your system distinguishes your success, not your goals.
1,000%. And we deal that we go through goal setting with our athletes a lot. And, you know, like you say, you'll have this really big goal of, I want to make the NFR, or I want to, I don't know, say a business owner, I want to make $1 million this year. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. How? Yeah. Like, what is going to get us there? Okay, if we want to make the NFR, that means that I have to win this amount of rodeos this year. I have to make, you know, go to this many tour rodeos. That means I have to qualify. I have to, you know, make the circuit finals, etc. Okay, well, how does that work? Okay, I need to be in the gym this amount of time per week. I need to be on the spur board this amount of time per week. I need to be mentally visualizing my rides this amount of time per week. They're all pieces of the puzzle. And if you don't have one piece, the puzzle doesn't look right. And that's what we tell everybody is you have to have a little of everything and work on it all together, or else you're going to be really, really good at this. And then you're going to have that one piece that's missing, and it's literally everything.
Yeah.
So like we have all these athletes that are super naturally talented and been, you know, they're right there on the tip of the iceberg for the past 5 years, 6 years. And all they need to do is put that little bit of effort in to make their body more physically, you know, ready for the demand that happens in the sport. Mm-hmm. Or the confidence is the biggest thing we see with working out is you work out and you don't think about it when you get to the rodeo anymore. You've already put that work in every single day and there's no thinking left to do. They're just doing what you've been practicing. And so these guys, you know, they go from not really ever training to even training just a little bit, 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes. And they get to the rodeo and they're like, dude, that was awesome. I feel so good. And it's just so cool to see. And it happens pretty quick. They see those changes really fast, especially if they haven't been working out.
You guys, confidence is the number one thing that I have. It doesn't matter whether it's a CEO, whether it's a 15-year-old, confidence is the number one thing. So here's the thing I'll tell you. We've talked a little bit about like your kiddos and what they're doing and some of your clients. The number one way you develop confidence is by acknowledging it. And I think acknowledging success, right? And so the thing we do a lot in the rodeo industry is we're like, just stay hungry. Well, cool. If all you do is stay hungry, you never build confidence because you're still hungry. Right. And so people are like, oh, I don't want to not be humble and this and that. And so I'm going to tell you, like, I started helping the barrel racers because we have such a big team, which maybe not for you all, but for us, 50 kids is a lot of kids. And we run 3 practices at once. And so I started helping the barrel racers. And so one of my questions to them at OSU was, I would say, how'd it go? And they immediately would tell me all the time, oh, I'm such a terrible rider. If I could ride right, if I could do this, if I could do that. So I changed my language to what went well. And it was like asking someone to write with their left hand. They didn't even know how to communicate with me.
Yep.
And so it's now like having that conversation with your children. How was your day? Fine.
Yeah. It's what went well. And then I asked them, what would you like to do better next time? And that confidence starts building because they're actually acknowledging what went well. It's not just, and some people coach as parents, right? Let's take some ownership as parents. We coach from a very corrective standpoint. Well, if you'd have just done this, right? Okay, my daughter is a barrel racer and a goat tire. So it's like, well, if you'd just gone a little faster or ridden a little straighter or done this or done that, and that's all they know how to communicate to themselves is if I'd only done this better. And it's like, you know, Doug, I think maybe you said, some people take that other 50% out that you're actually dealing with an animal, and you want to talk about kids doing that. They have such respect often for the animals they work with. They're like, if I'd have just ridden my horse right. They're 1,200 pounds worth of free thinking flesh. Okay. Right? So like own what you can own, but then like allow like dirt conditions, environment, like your environment is constantly against you. Like, I don't care what is happening, your environment's constantly against you. So take a hold of the things that you can, control those as much as you can. The other thing that's killing our kids is this idea of perfectionism, especially in young women. Okay. They'd rather have not started than not be perfect. And so building this, like, this is a lot of what I do with my young athletes, is we're building resilience techniques, right? Because perfectionism, that's a really great way to beat the hell out of yourself every single day, right? Strive for excellence. Nobody's perfect.
I would say that that's the one thing that the COVID shutdown allowed for me, is that that's when I started doing these videos on Facebook for, promoting college rodeo and doing this kind of stuff. But that's what, like, it gave me grace, because I literally was doing the best I could in the situation that I had, but I saw other people doing it too. I didn't have to provide professional production for videos on Facebook. I could just do what I could do because everybody knew that I was in lockdown and I had 2 kids running around, and I'm not going to lie. I was attending Zoom meetings for my real estate business. There was one meeting that I forgot to hit mute, and everybody heard my mom voice, but it was okay. I mean, I got a lot of crap for it, but it was okay. And there were times where I was interviewing coaches and my kids would run up the stairs in their underwear, but it was what it was. And it allowed me to kind of give myself grace too, and not have to be perfect. And I can tell you that had COVID not happened, I would not be here. We would not be doing this. I would not have a cinch partnership. I would not have opportunities that I have now. And I will tell you that confidence does get me every once in a while. Like, I questioned myself a lot during the college finals before, I did a lot of live video during the college finals and walked around and approached people, like totally hijacked them at their trailer. And in that moment, even feeling that anxiety of like, why am I doing this? Who am I to be doing this? Like, nobody knows who I am, but like, take a deep breath, spit it all out and do it anyways. And I mean, it's just, it still gets me, even especially with my auctioneering. Like, I know I'm not fast and I know I'm not the best, and I do it anyways. And I think that, like, I don't know, I think I might be getting more from this than anybody else.
Well, it's like I tried to tell when I was coaching college rodeo, and I tried to tell my daughters, now both my daughters, my oldest one's 25 and my youngest one's 14 now, at a practice session, take something positive away from your run, from your practice session. Don't nitpick. And as a coach and as a parent, I've got to, pull back, and we're not going to worry about saying we need to do that better, but that was a great run, great start. You rode your horse good. Build on the positives, not always lay down the negatives, and let them take those positives and grow on it. And that's huge, because you don't see that a lot. And with these kids trying to be perfectionists today, and adults, rodeo athletes, everybody trying to be, want to be the best. They want that perfect ride, perfect score, perfect run, and that perfect video on social media. So no matter how good something is, they start nitpicking. And that's what I tell, especially my 14-year-old, you did 99. This is the 99% things you did right. Let's build on that. Let's build that and use that. How you felt with that stuff, that's that feeling you want all the time, that positive stuff. It's all about taking what you did right and feeding off that.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to like what you said earlier, where you said what went well. I mean, what we work with our clients is finding those small wins. People come in and they maybe have a goal of losing 50 pounds or putting on 10 pounds of muscle or whatever. And it's a goal that's going to take us a little bit to do it in a sustainable way. It's going to take us a little bit. And so when a month goes by and we're, they're working towards their goal, but they haven't accomplished it yet, they can become defeated unless we help them see those small wins. Like, let's take the good out of this week or this, what are you changing in your diet? Stacking those small wins on top. And all of a sudden, that's what builds that confidence and builds that momentum. And then next thing they know, they look up and they've reached their goal or they've surpassed it.
Yeah. And I think too, I've been typing, I don't know what you guys see, if you can see the comments or anything, but I've been kind of typing some quotes in the comments that have been poignant to me. But your goals do not distinguish your success, your systems do. I feel like one really difficult thing for athletes, but also for business owners, is sometimes it's super, super easy to see the change that needs to be made. Like you can see it, like even in personal relationships, you can see some things that you should do, that you should change, but making that change and doing the thing that needs to be changed is the hardest part. And if you can just do a little bit of it, like if you can read 10 pages a day or of your book, of your, self-development book, or if you can just, my husband and I have started working out recently. He's just started working out. He does manual labor all day. So working out is like the last thing that he wants to do, but he has started to do that. And he's finally got to a mindset where he's like, you know what? If I'm running late and I get to the gym and I only have time to get on the rowing machine for 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes. Like, or I only have time. I mean, there was a time when I was working out, I would get to the gym after dropping the kids off and I only had time to walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes. And then I had to go get ready for the rest of my day. But just those, exactly what you're talking about, those little wins, like I showed up, I didn't sweat, but I showed up and I stayed consistent. I showed up and I'm going to be back tomorrow, and and tomorrow I'll do better. I'll do more, whatever it looks like. But I think so many times I didn't do something because I knew that I couldn't do it the way I envisioned that I should do it. And so I just never even pulled the trigger. And that doesn't happen for me anymore, but I'm 41 years old. It's taken a really long time to get there. And so I'm still, the struggles are still there in some areas. And so you have to imagine that these athletes are also dealing with all the same things that we're dealing with, and the expectation to perform 10 nights in a row and win something. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, that's the biggest thing is like, look, rather than the entire staircase, look at the first step, right? What's the actionable item that you can take today? To the guy's point, is it something you're shifting about your diet? Is it just a little bit more protein, a little bit more water? Is it a little bit more of that mindset book? Is it asking yourself, and this is one of the simplest things, like anybody who's watching, just ask yourself, does that thought serve me? Just thinking, oh man, I really suck today. Does that serve you? Does that serve that ultimate goal? And you guys, like I shared with you, I try to be a gym rat, right? But I work out at a college gym that is beautiful, right? And I want to outlift skinny college boys. My ego shows up and I'm like, I can do that. And so then like, sometimes I don't lift as well as I wanted to, but I have to self-coach. I'm like, okay, you showed up today. Like you did the best you could, you showed up today. And so it's just incrementally making those shifts and making those changes, creating consistent habits, so that if you don't want to be explosive on your children anymore, or if you don't want to beat yourself up before every meeting because you're not good enough to go into that meeting and you don't believe you belong there, or you don't want to walk into the gym because you don't feel like you look like the 18-year-old in the tights and the half shirt, like, does that thought serve me? Does it serve who I want to be? And if the answer is not resounding yes, then figure out a shift, right?
And getting yourself out of that thought process, it's not easy by any means. I mean, you have to really, really consciously work at it, because some of those thoughts are super like subconscious, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. So first of all, recognize what's going on, and then stop yourself, change your thought, and move forward. Like, it's not an easy process.
No. One thing, like, and for me is, I want to be the best version of myself every day. And like when I'm working out, or I want to be the best version of myself, but that doesn't always going to mean I'm going to have my best workout day, my best run. But I got out there and did it. And I had to adjust my mindset with that. Was the best version of me may not be the best I'm going to be that week, but I still got out there and do it, because not every day is going to be perfect. Not every time I work out is going to be perfect. Not every meeting I go to is going to be perfect. Not every sale I try to make on a trailer is going to be perfect. But as long as I'm putting the effort in and doing my best, I've learned to take away, okay, that's where I'm in today. Tomorrow we're going to reset and go again. And that's been such a huge, I'm 46 and I'm learning this now. I'm trying to help incorporate that to my daughters. I want them to be able to learn from my mistakes and my lack of knowing this stuff at an earlier age. And And I think that's what, as a parent and as a coach, I want to get back. And I look back at my rodeo career and even jackpotting now. If I could have controlled this a long time ago, I would probably enjoyed roping and rodeo a lot more, because it wouldn't have been all about the end game of, boy, I want to make the finals, or I got to win this or that. I would have enjoyed the ride a lot more along the way, and that's what I'm trying to instill in my kids.
Yeah. So I wish I could serve every rodeo athlete out there, because I feel like we have a unique vernacular, right? I've had my daughter try to work with other mindset coaches because it was challenging, because they didn't understand what it is that we do. And so it was a novelty. And so they spent a lot of time, but I don't, and I'm not meant to serve everyone out there. But just make an effort, like seek some things out that serve you, whether it's a book, you guys, and I have, there's no skin in the game, a great book that I love. And I refer to a lot of my clients. It's called Mind Gym by Gary Mack. He's it's a great, like, everyone should read this. Like, you just should. It's a good listen. It's great for teenagers. There's one in there about, like, don't do drugs, right? That's a good chapter. But he is a sports psychologist who worked with a number of major athletic sporting teams. And it's such good concepts. It's such good stuff. It's very readable. It's very listenable. So if you do nothing else for yourself, like, get a copy, store it in your pickup, pick it up now and then, listen to it. There's so much good content out there. But just find content that's meaningful to you and start making an effort. When it comes to your mindset, toughing it out often is not the right solution, right? So being able to kind of get things out, expose them, understand your fear. So much performance anxiety is either a fear of failure or fear of success. They both exist. What other people think, like, this kind of stuff exists for you. I was so nervous when I was a college athlete. I couldn't swallow before I would compete. Like, why is that fun? Right. And then it's developing tools. So is it slow breathing? Is it something like a square breathing technique to help slow it down? Or, you guys, I work with a lot of clients and put this in their toolbox. How do you step into the adrenaline? Because you do it you do this sport explicitly because you love the adrenaline that you get. So how do you use that to step into that fear and manage it really well, so it serves you in that moment? So I wish I could stay on for you guys. I have enjoyed this, and I can't thank you enough for your time. But please make some effort. Anybody who's out there watching, listening, whatever, please make some effort towards your mental performance, because it's going to serve you in no matter what you do.
No, Katie, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. What if we have somebody or a watcher or listener that wants to reach out to you? Do you have a website? How can we get in touch with you?
Yes. So it's Crave Coaching. It's KRAVE coaching.com. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I haven't made the step into TikTok yet. Like, I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. Other than I really enjoy vulgar mouth cat videos. I don't know how that translates to mindset coaching, but I'm going to figure out how, because I have a naughty chihuahua and I feel like she should be a part of that. But yeah, Crave Coaching, KRAVE. And actually I've got some things coming up. I do a Women of Rodeo 6-week coaching series for women who compete in whatever sport. And we get online, we do it via Zoom. I meet all of my clients digitally, so you do not have to be in Stillwater, Oklahoma to be with me. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much, you guys. Such a pleasure.
Let's stay in touch, because I'd love to have you back on here.
Okay. I would love that.
Then we'll connect you guys also.
Okay. I was like, Men of Champion Fitness. Like, I feel like we met today for a reason. So it was such a pleasure. Thank you all so much. I'm sorry to have to step out, but I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right. So yeah, that was, man, I couldn't type fast enough. I was trying to type like quotes and things over here on the side, but so I'm glad that you guys joined. I think it ties so closely, the mental and the physical, that people often forget. But I would also add, Tony and I have talked about this so many times, that when did that transition happen for cowboys and rodeo athletes to start preparing their bodies? I mean, you mentioned it, but it seems like probably in the last maybe 5 to 8 years, maybe, when rodeo athletes and cowboys started to take care of their bodies and to like get them in the best shape possible so that they can perform at their best level. So it's been very evident to watch how the competition has gotten tougher and why that's happening.
No, it's the working out when we first started getting on bucking horses 10 years ago, or no, way longer than that.
Yeah.
Way longer than that now.
Don't age yourself. We don't need to go there.
Yeah, but these guys were like Clint Cannon is who we learned and went to his schools, and Clint was working out, and you saw Bobby Moat was working out, and there was a handful of guys working out, but there was not a ton. And there was absolutely zero education about how to work out correctly, right? So a lot of these guys played college football. So college football training is what he did, and he was incredibly strong and incredibly big, but it probably was not ideal for rodeo because it beats your body up more than it actually helps it recover. And we'll get into that, kind of how we balance all of our workouts. But in the last 5 years is when things have really started kicking off for people really starting to train, starting to get into it. You see Tim O'Connell, Casey Field, all those guys have personal trainers that they were using, still use, and they were excelling by a lot compared to everybody else. And now you see, for instance, this year, it's not so much them dominating into every round. It's stacked in there thick, and everybody has a chance at winning the round, and everyone is athletic because everybody is training like an athlete. Now, if you're in the top 15 minus maybe one or two of them, you're training like an athlete, and those one or two, I'm not going to name names, but it shows in some of in the standings. You're not going to be at that top level every time, and eventually
it probably would hurt you if you did name names, but I can tell you that this show is about naming names and calling people out. We learned that yesterday with Rump.
Oh yeah. Rump ain't scared to name names. That is for sure. That's why people love his podcast, because he will name names.
Somebody asked me why I didn't call out people. I'm like, I don't know these people well enough to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, say you just look at the bareback riding last night with that eliminator pin.
That's where
I mean, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you don't have 13 of them ride. No matter what, just because. But the Cowboys, like I say, they had 13 rides last night. That's pretty impressive on that pin of horses, and some of them, the scores, actually 75.5 was Tilden on Pretty Woman. The horse just got in the fence. But you take that, like say 8 years ago, even 5 years ago, half the guys buck off. But now now they are athletes. They're taking care of their bodies, and they can withstand the force and the power these horses are putting at them. And now they're going to recover and come back and be ready tonight, compared to, somebody might have got by one 5 years ago and they're banged up for 2 rounds and might get hurt worse getting on a less powerful bucking horse because they're still trying to recover from the night before's ride. It's amazing watching, especially, and I see it in the bareback riding. Those guys just look like, they look jacked.
Athletic. Yeah, they're athletic, super athletic. Every single one of them. And the biggest thing about this, this understanding, people used to think you have to be super light to ride rough stock, right? You want to be small and as light but as strong as possible. And it's not the opposite, but you don't have to be this little tiny person. Like, the muscle is padding. It protects you. It keeps your body from also getting too inflamed. So we'll have guys that get in this mindset of working way too hard, cutting calories, and they get so lean that their body literally starts to reject it, and they start breaking down essentially. So they're having problems that they haven't had in years come up, say, I don't know, neck problems, shoulder problems, whatever it is. It's just because the body cannot recover. You have to eat. You have to fuel yourself to get through all the stuff you just broke down.
Right.
And, also 10 years ago after the round, you'd probably see a lot more guys out doing stuff, partying. Guys now are coming straight back to the hotel. We're grabbing dinner. Like, we'll go sit down for a nice dinner, and sure, they're not getting in bed till 11, 11:30, maybe midnight, but they're sleeping. They're waking up. They're coming to the gym to meet us. We're moving around in the morning. We're getting their blood flowing, making sure they're feeling good. If anything, from the night before is bugging them, we're focusing on that in the morning to get it primed and get it going again. And then I'm at the arena with them before the rodeo doing warm-ups with them. So we have a little room that Justin Sports Med set up, and they let me use the bands and, the foam rollers and all the stability balls and stuff. And we have about a 10 to 13 minute warm up every day. And they, get a little sweat going, prime everything for what they're about to do. And depending on the round, like last night, the E-pin, I add a little bit extra in to make sure they were extremely warm and ready to go, because that's where the little stuff happens that'll, fatigue you over a week or 10 days. So
Right.
What Doug was
The
saying, like
E-pin, is that what you called it? The E-pin?
yeah, the eliminator pin. It's the
Yeah,
scary
that's
night.
the behind the scenes stuff that we like. That's
The
what you
scary
guys
night.
call it, the E-pin.
It's the scary night. It's a lot of, in rodeo, like you walk in the locker room and it's usually pretty rowdy and loud and everyone's bebopping around having a good time. On those nights, it's not very loud or beboppy. It's very, very serious and very quiet, and they're about business. So,
well, and I'm intrigued to hear that after what we talked about and what we learned from Justin yesterday, how kind of locked down it is. I'm super intrigued to hear that y'all are back there and have a room and a space to do that kind of stuff with the Cowboys. So I'm glad it's necessary, but surprised me.
yeah, and it's actually it's surprised us too. So it's been nice to be there and be with them. It's been, definitely has never happened before. So I actually work with Binion Survey, and I'm one of his representatives for his stock contracting company. So that's how originally I got to go down there and help them, and then it just worked out that SportsMed let me help them warm up and stuff.
Perfect. They see the value.
I hope so. I really
Very
hope
cool.
so.
Logan, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So
No. I was just gonna say that's like, what, that's why training, what Doug is saying is why you're not just training, but the type of training that you're doing is so important, because for years, for me riding bareback horses, I thought that I needed to recreate the intensity of bareback riding in the gym. And so I was doing high intensity workouts, one or sometimes twice a day, and my body was broken before I ever got to the rodeo. The bucking horse was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So then every injury that I've had in rodeo could be traced back to my overtraining and undereating, because I thought I needed to be a lean, mean 155 pounds to ride. Well, since I quit riding bucking horses this summer, I put on about 20 pounds. I wish I was this weight when I was rodeoing. I feel so much better. I'm only training 3, maybe 4 days a week. And but that's why your style of training is extremely important, because you cannot recreate the intensity. You cannot recreate any sport within rodeo in the gym. It isn't possible. And so that style of training is extremely important in what you're actually doing, making sure that your training is not wearing the body out before you ever get to the rodeo.
Your training's actually helping build you up to get ready to compete at the highest level, not have you zap before you get there.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I'm going to have you guys join us for this last little bit, if you can, and we're just going to go through each event, and I would love to get feedback from your perspective and fitness perspective in each event, if you are willing.
Let's roll.
All right. So we talked about bareback riding a little bit, and truth be told, I think everybody already knows, I did not watch the rodeo last night. I had some other things going on. So Tony's going to do a lot of talking, which is probably a nice change.
Like I said, I watched most of it. And like I said, I've been fighting this head cold, so I was kind of in and out with NyQuil again. But Casey Fields, 90 points on full baggage. I mean, that was just when that ride started, that horse went straight down the pin. I mean, all that power. You just knew he was going to be 90. I did. I just had that feeling. Then Richie Champion, 88.5. Jess Pope. Let's talk about Jess Pope. He's 3 for 3 in the money, top 3, wins 2 rounds, comes back, wins 8. He's 88 last night. Got a pretty good lead in the average. I know we're a long ways from the end of it, but they're projecting him as the world champion, your average champion. Here's a guy that his first NFR last year wins at Arlington, wins the average, then just steps right back in at Thomas and Mack and takes him for, about 70,000 so far. So he's probably like, yeah, this NFR thing is really fun. They just keep paying me when I show up. But but watching Jess ride, I mean, there's another one. He just looks like, I mean, he's just his mindset, his physically, he just everything looks in sync, and it just looks. I'm not going to say effortless, but it looks like he's in control of the ride. And no matter how ranked that horse was last night, and it's been impressive. But like I said, overall, watching the bareback riding last night with the E-pin was to only have 2 no scores. That's impressive, because I remember a time where you'd be happy if you saw four rides.
3 rides. Yeah.
And like I said, 75.5 isn't on Pretty Woman. Jim Boy's upset about that because that was his horse, and he was supposed to get on the stage with Tilden last night, but it didn't work out. But, what did you guys think of the bareback riding last night?
I thought it was outstanding. I think that seeing full baggage buck like that horse is timeless. Like it's like she never aged a day on that trip. Like that's like back when he first started. And Casey just, made an absolutely perfect spur ride. Like you were saying, by the third jump, we knew he was going to be over 90, and that was going to be the round win. And I was so pumped for him. That was so cool. That's just how many times he's been on that horse a bunch, you know what I mean, and won a lot of things on it. So to see them both at this stage in their career where they've been around together, and be 90.5 points or whatever, is so cool. And then Richie got on, I think it was Mr. Harry of Staces, and that horse is strong bucks, just honest about it. And Richie made an outstanding spur ride. I thought he handles those horses really well. He's always handled eliminators well. And then Jess is just lighting them up, and I could not love it more. He's a great guy. He is riding outstanding. He made that horse look easy yesterday, and I've seen that horse all year long make people look stupid. So it was awesome to see him make that thing look like a hopper, and I think that he has a really big things can happen for him this week if he just continues to keep it simple and do what he does and not let the pressure get to him.
Well, and back to your point about Jess making that horse, look like a hopper. I'm glad that the judges didn't judge it that way. They realize, because we've all seen it before, and where a guy, takes one and just owns it. The horse is still bucking strong, but the rider just makes him look easy, and then they dock points. And that was cool that they didn't dock Jess, that they still scored him, even though, he made that horse look easy, which there's nothing easy about it.
Right. Don't be sleeping on my boy Cole Franks now.
Dude, yeah. Like
that kid is solid. I'm telling you, solid. Like, and I expect before the week is over, he is going to win a lot of money. You haven't hardly seen him make a bobble yet. Even last night, made outstanding rides. So, man, they keep loading him for him. Man, he's going to win a lot of money.
And this is Cole's first finals, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And his dad's a rodeo coach, Brett Franks. And anyway, he comes from a rodeo family. I saw his brother was at the permit finals the other day. His younger brother riding saddle bronc horses. And so anyway, he's just a really, really, really nice kid. He also, insider fact, his nickname, he's going to be really upset that I said this, is Harry Potter, because he looks exactly like Harry Potter. So with his glasses on, if you guys see him out and about, asking to sign that autograph sheet as Harry.
That's awesome. You know what? That's good insight right there, Logan. Thank you. That's awesome.
What's going on with Cole Reiner?
Man,
he's riding great.
Yeah, he's been riding good. Like that's the thing about this field of bareback riders. Like, just draw a name out of a hat, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Nobody's going to be upset because of the fact that they're all on such an elite level. Cole has been riding really, really well, I think, too. And it just comes down to, they're able to take a lot of the luck of the draw out here because of the level of the animals that they're able to select. But it all just comes down to that really flashy eliminator, that you get on something that allows you to maybe really show, or something that's a little bit harder to ride, ducks and dives, this and that. It just comes down to the animal that you're drawing as far as who's going to win, because they're all able to tee off and put on 24-point spur rides on any given animal. It just depends on which one they're plucking. So
yeah. And Cole's on my fantasy team. We were doing well. He made a great ride last night. We just didn't have enough horse for that.
That horse was just not enough. And I don't think they'll bring that one back for the next time. So they should have, I don't know exactly how many they cut, but like 5 to 10 new ones.
Right, I think something like that.
Yeah. They've got some that they have for rerides the first time around. They can sub in the second time around if need be.
But like when you look at the average, like there really isn't somebody that's just a piles ahead of them. Like they're all stacked in there pretty dang close. Guys.
It's
going to change quick. And with winning $26,997 every round, stuff changes quick.
That's the cowboy cuss word. That's okay.
Yeah, that's making sure. But the bareback riding, I'm stoked to see it tonight. Tonight should be hopper pin.
Yeah,
so they get to have some fun after a little bit of scary stuff last night. And then round 5 and 10 are my absolute favorite with the TV pins. Just electric.
So I got to interrupt you guys. I'm getting some text messages. Earlier in the NFR Hangover, well, our first pregame, we talked to a young lady, Hadley Furnival, about the Vegas Toughest. Her mom is texting me. So they're getting ready to run again. There are 2 Wyoming girls that are number 1 and number 2 in the average in the goat tying. So I want to give a shout out to them, Tavy Reno and Hayden Thompson. And then Hadley, for all of our Wyoming peeps, Hadley's going to run barrels in like right now. So if you guys want to get on that link, head over there. And I think that's it. That's about it. So yeah, sorry, brief interruption there.
Oh, good.
There's so many events going on in Vegas right now that it's super, super hard to talk about everything. Like, it's impossible. I mean, I could probably do it, but
I think you could do it. We went down the junior NFR yesterday. We have a young bull rider there, and he's at the junior NFR, the Patriot, and something else. And literally, he rode at 11 o'clock at junior NFR. Had to be at the Patriot to ride at noon. And they had been doing that for 4 or 5 days straight, but like going way like 3 or 4 bulls a day. And I'm just like, this is insane. There's so many
and
people.
then, so I had another parent message me about, let me see, what is it? Western Legacy Series. It's a 19 and under team roping from placing at the high school finals, I believe. Wow. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that. I mean, we were in junior high last year.
Yeah, she said that they were there was not very many teams, so it might be something new that's coming up. But so, I mean, we've already talked about it. So many different opportunities for youngsters, which I cannot help but think, like, every time I think or say something, I think about what Katie has said, and like we're not making a lot of healthy changes. Like, we're building that competition and building that at such a young level, which there's some pros and cons about it. You know, I don't want to put that much pressure on my kid at that age.
Right.
So, I don't know. She said some things that clearly are stuck with me now. So maybe we'll see some positive change.
And with the kids, like, as far as we train a lot of younger kids, we have any like 8 and 9 year olds that, they're getting on steers and calves and stuff. And their dads have reached out to us, basically saying, it's hard being a dad or a parent and coaching your kid because it's not, that's not how it doesn't ever really go well.
No.
Especially as they get older, they have their own opinions. They think they know more than you do. I was definitely like that when I was younger. I think every teenager's like that, but it's tough, and it puts a strain on the relationship as just being a mom and a dad with your kid. And when you start being the coach, and it can get, not fun sometimes. So having people that are, doing what we do or what Katie does, is helpful because they're much more likely to listen just because it's not mom and dad. And we're probably telling them the same exact thing you are, but it's just coming from a different person.
That's super funny. My daughter just started riding. I mean, she's just shown interest in horses. And so I don't know. I literally pay a gal $25 for her to go take a riding lesson and say exactly what I say.
Yep. It's
but
wild.
Then you can enjoy her coming home and telling you about it. About the riding.
Really? She said what?
Yeah.
She is smart.
On the back here.
Yeah.
She is so smart.
Well,
all right, let's get back to it.
The steer wrestling last night, we had another NFR rookie win the round. We had Dirk Kavner win round 1 and 2, and then Tristan Martin comes out, smokes 1 3 and 7. Dirk actually breaks a barrier last night to be 3 and 5 and go 3 for 3. And he took the start he wanted that steer. Just when the steer left, he kind of raised up out of there. And Luke made a good, made a comment last night on the commentary about, that steer if he'd have just stepped, he'd have been fine. But that steer kind of raised his head right there. But it doesn't look like there's too many jitters right there for the NFR rookies in the steer wrestling. Both Tristan and Dirk, jump out, win the first 3 rounds. Yep. Vegas Pack, breaks the barrier to win round 2, comes back last night 3 and 8. Rowdy Parrott 3-8. They split second. Dakota Eldridge, 2-time average winner. He's 3-9. Scott Gunther 4-3, and Jacob Talley. Jacob, gets in there at 4-3. So I tell you what, that was the best pin of steers on them so far. And Stockton 4-7, the old veteran, he knocking on the door, but that no time's going to hurt him when it comes down to the end of it for the average. So,
of course.
So, something that's interesting in a lot of the events, there's usually like a front runner. And it seems like this year it's kind of wide open in the several events. What does it look like in the steer wrestling? I mean, there's nobody that's going to run away with it.
No, I mean, after 2 rounds, they're predicting Dirk Tavener is your world champion. But now with the barrier, I mean, I haven't went and looked that far.
So much left and so many uncontrolled things, like that steer stopping short or, pushing his head up. Like there's just one of those things that, hey, you can control that.
Yeah, it's just
part of the deal.
They're predicting Jacob Talley to win it, Tristan Martin. But I mean, we're going into round 4. We're not even at the halfway point right now.
Yeah.
But now, we're starting the rerun. Now we're going to run the first round steers again. So they have an actual book on these steers, not what they were like at the other rodeos, what they were when they threw them down. They know what they did in this building. So that'll play huge into these guys' game plan tonight. So.
Well, but even that, I mean, those steers also, what they did in the first round, they may not do in the second round. If their second run, they know where they're going now.
Well, that's true. I think we're going to see that in the tie-down rope, and actually is where we're going to see that, because that first round of calves in the tie-down rope, and we're checking off and not running through the through the rope. So it'll be interesting to see. But talking to Luke a little bit, he said that steer wrestling, the steer wrestling pin they're pretty true and pretty set. So the only one that I would be worried about is the one Will Loomis threw up to the third row. That steer might not want any. He might check off real hard if somebody goes to touch him.
Dude, was that not amazing? I was like, oh my, who does that?
I text Luke. I said, "Did you ever do that?" He goes, "No, I've never thrown one completely over on its other side."
Well, you know the difference. Luke didn't train with Champion Living. So
well, see, you know what? Luke needs to, because I would love to see Luke make one more run at the final. So I need to have him train with you guys to get him healed up and back at it. So
absolutely.
But yeah. No, that was impressive. I mean, and Big Will. I got to know Will at the college finals when he was back there, and he's a great guy. I mean, not a kid anymore, great young man. And I was but when you could tell it was like he was mad that steer ran him down there too far. He's like, okay, I'm going to throw you up there as a souvenir. Exactly. If we threw him to the third row, you can take him up there with you. So, yeah. The team roping last night: Rin Richard, Jeremy Bueller, 4-2. Clay Smith and Jake Corkill have roped solid all week. They've not exposed themselves, to not trying to take anything risky, and they're placed every night. So is Caleb Driggers and Junior. They were 4-9. They won 5th. But then the team rope, in typical team roping fashion, you rope a leg, you still win a check. Coleman Proctor and Logan Medlin 8-8, win a check. And then, and we wound up having 4 no times last night. Cody Snow, Wesley Thorpe, your 2019 average champions, go out of the average. Dustin Agaskiza and Travis Graves are 0 for 3 in the team roping. And Dustin, gets it on one, and Travis misses him last night. We want to talk about the mental pressure. These guys had the lead coming in, or at least Dustin did on the head side. Mm-hmm. Travis was second on the heel side. You're 0 for 3, and I mean, don't count these guys out. They were the hottest team going most of the year.
Oh, yeah.
But now you're starting to feel the pressure, because that average is going to play huge. And Clay Smith and Jay Corkill win second or third, fourth every night and win that average. You're not going to make up ground by winning 27,000 on them, every third night. So I think you're going to start to see those guys pushing a little bit. If Dustin and Travis can slow everything down and win around or place the round tonight, it'll right the ship. But if they go 0 for tonight, I think you're going to see them really start pushing. And I mean, they're going to have that Alan Bach, Doyle Gillerman win for the last 5 rounds to try to win a world title type deal here come the back half of the finals. So it was cool.
This is coming from the one that picks teams because of the color of their jersey. But I like to see a variety of people in the field win the rounds, because it just makes it a little more exciting. Everybody has a chance, and it kind of proves to everybody that everybody has a chance. You don't come here with anything sealed.
Exactly.
Well, and the way the money is now at the NFR, I mean, like I say, you can come in 15th and you can have the best week of your life and walk out as a world champion. And that's what they want the finals to be. And, you know, we've all been around the rodeo world long enough that this is what these guys' years are made of right here. This is how they make or break their year and set themselves up for next year, is what they do at the finals. So.
I'm glad Coy and Douglas got in there and got some money too. Oh, Douglas is from not just too awful far from where we live now. And so we've got I've never spent a whole lot of time around him, but we've got a lot of the same friends. And we actually, we were at a friend's house and we all watched Salinas together because they were right on the bubble on making it. And so everybody was on the edge of their seats watching. It was really cool to see him make it. And so anyway, and especially with his father passed away this summer, and it was a pretty tough time. Like, you know, he's out, he's gone, he's rodeoing, and his mom is like, hey, from what I understand is like, hey, like you got business to take care of, like keep
you got to keep going,
keep pushing. And so for them to slip in there and make it, and then last night, I mean, his heel loop was just crazy impressive. And,
that was that was rank.
I look for
he's riding for different things this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's, I think that got the ball rolling. They got some money won now. And so, man, I think all holds are off now. I'm looking for them to win some more.
Well, like you said, that right there, that kind of broke the ice for them. They're NFR rookies, you know, that broke the ice. Hey, and, you know, after the first 2 rounds, it's back to that mental game, you know, like we were talking about. You know you belong here, but you've stubbed your toe a couple of times. That self-doubt starts to creep in. Do I really belong here? I was
going to ask, you know, I know when I qualified to the college finals in the goat tying, I had that and I was like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm not winning a world championship, but I'm happy to be here. Does that happen at the pro level when you come in 15? I mean, does that happen where you're like, I'm 15, I'm just happy to be here? I mean, is there still that doubt?
I'm sure there's that doubt, but I think the way the money is now at the finals, and you've got to be mentally sharp to even be in the top 15, especially if you've had to battle out. If you came in 15th and you were on the bubble and you fought to the very end of the year, you know, you fought to the last day of the regular season, you've had to build some mental toughness. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I think once you get here, you believe you have a shot. Now, after a couple rounds of things not going well, that self-doubt might start to creep in. But once you break the ice like Douglas and Coy did last night, man, now you can start, okay, hey, I do belong here. This is what we've worked all year for. Now let's go out and get it because we know we belong here. We know we can do it. So that was you know, I think we're going to see, especially with the team rope. And it's like the team rope is one event. It's like when it starts off good, it stays good. When it starts off rocky, it's like, man.
Everybody buys in.
Yeah.
Oh, this is where we're at? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. What about the bronc riding?
Oh,
those rookies.
Yeah.
Tegan Smith, 91 on yesterday's delivery. I mean, just
awesome.
Just picture perfect.
Absolutely. And then Chase Brooks.
You know what I love?
Standing too.
Chase Brooks is.
You know what I loved is at the buckle presentation, you could not tell he was a rookie. It's like he had been on that stage before.
That's awesome.
No, like he was in that microphone talking, introducing his people like he had been there. And he was pretty confident that he would be there again, which is, I love to see that coming from a rookie.
Me too, 100%. That we talked about this. We were talking with some of our guys over dinner about interviews and how more times than not, it's pretty cringeworthy because the guys just, it's like talking to a board. It's like, how was your ride? Good.
Fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, could you tell us?
Tell me about your horse.
Yeah, it's sort of like Ricky Bobby-ish. And,
yeah.
And tell
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with them. They just, yeah. So it's cool to see young guys get up there and talk and be able to explain how they're feeling, explain how everything went to the common fan or the common person that maybe doesn't even know that much about rodeo, but likes the sport and likes the energy of it, you know? And that's what I think the sport needs a lot more of, but I think that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I came across a company that is offering classes to cowboys to help them with their PR stuff, to help them with interviews and that type of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, because even doing this platform, I'll I'll have coaches on, or I'll have a past alumni on, and they're just sitting there like,
yeah,
you gotta use your words, and like, just, give me something, throw me something that I can work with. So,
you mean not everybody likes to talk like we do? Just up there, just talk and talk and talk.
Well, with all the sponsorship money and stuff that's available now and that's out there, I mean, having somebody that's marketable that you can put in front of a camera on the Cowboy Channel that's broadcasted to hundreds of thousands of homes on a weekly basis, and slap a patch on them and have them in front of the camera, and they can actually conduct an interview, and there's a lot of opportunity.
It's a marketable skill.
Absolutely, 100%, and it's a skill worth developing, just like your skill development or your physical preparation or your mental preparation. Being able to be marketable is extremely important.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that, like, I know Susan Cano talks about it at the college finals. When you get checked in and you're all sitting in the bleachers, she'll get up there and talk about, like, you have to do these interviews, and this is what it looks like. I mean, it'd be great to offer something at that level. There's crossover there that kids are rodeoing in college and they're rodeoing professionally. And to be able to offer something like that to them would be, it would help them. It would help for you guys to just keep going and keep pursuing. I mean, even a class about social media, like, there's stuff that you shouldn't put on social media on your professional pages.
Yes, there is.
You might not know that. And I mean, let's still be authentic and professional. I mean, let's be authentic, but let's also be choosy on what we're being authentic about too.
Absolutely. When I was coaching and I was recruiting an athlete, I always checked social media. I always looked at their social media page to see what they're willing to put out there for everybody to see. Is a pretty good indicator for me on their standards and where they lie, and my interest. I might have been really interested with somebody, and then I checked their social media, and you know what? Hey, like, man, if you come, you come. But man, I'm not gonna move heaven and earth to get you here.
There's something to be said about the statement "Ride for the brand."
Yes.
When you go to school, or when you go to school for me, or my patch is on your shirt, like, you're representing me, and you better do it well.
Absolutely.
You better do it to my standards.
And that's what you see. I mean, I see it a lot. These kids in high school rodeo. I want to wear your patch. So what can you give me? No, and I've had kids come into the trailer a lot. Will you sponsor me for high school rodeo, and what will you give me? And I've sat them down. I said,
You're asking the wrong question.
Here, that's the wrong way. This is how you need to come in. Come in and explain what you can do to benefit this company, and that is going to help you. People want to put that patch on your shirt. What are you going to bring to the table that benefits this company or whatever brand? And that's
you're asking the wrong question. It's more about not what you can give me, but what I can give you, what I can do for your brand.
Yes.
And I mean, it goes back and forth.
It's a give and take.
But as an athlete coming in asking that question, shoot, I've started applying for patch programs from Bullfrog Creative, but I'm picky. Does their mission align with my mission?
Right.
Then I can move forward, because we can serve each other well.
Yeah.
Not just a one-way street there. So anyways, we got off topic.
Speaking of moving forward, tie down roping, Caleb Schmidt 7-1 last night, fastest run of the finals. You knew it was coming. Only a matter of time for Caleb.
Yeah.
Then Weston Hughes, young gunslinger, 7-2. John Dausch, after having the no time in round 2, he breaks through 7-3, makes a smoking run. Haven Medjid, 7-4. Tough Cooper, 7-7. Marcos Costa, the only guy that places that's not in the 7s, 8-3. Marty Yates, and it cost him last year, misflanking, couple calves, winning a gold buckle, and he just, like, he missed his hui last night before, he messed his slack up. It just, and, I'm not there. I'm watching on TV. Just looks like his focus might be not there. I don't know. I can't, but that's Marty's been in the hunt for a world title almost every year he's been there. He just can't seem to get it all put together there at the finals. Then last night, the biggest deal was Shad Mayfield's calf getting up, and he put 2 in a hui. He didn't take one in a hui. He put 2 full wraps in a hui. Watch on TV, I couldn't see how the legs were stacked, but that's gonna kind of take him, I think, out of the hunt for a world title. And then, like, say last night, where we at here? I'm trying to find Shane Hanshey, 9-4. Makes a solid run.
Yeah,
and he's in the driver's seat for that world title for sure. But it was great to see Caleb get out there, and after having to sit out last year's finals because of the COVID test right before it, and he went out there and just doing work, and I knew he'd be a force to deal with there. So
absolutely.
And last night was the best pin of calves, the most true pin of calves for sure.
So Logan, we have a comment here for you. I'm going to show it because I like what it says. Steve Burney says, I have a ton of respect for Logan and his ethics in recruiting while he was coach at New Mexico State University.
Oh, from old Steve.
Hey, it's Steve.
Yeah, Steve Burney.
Steve. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Steve. Man, I learned a lot of lessons the hard way when I was coaching.
Don't we all?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's lessons that I use now. It's not just, directly, especially recruiting athletes. And unfortunately, sometimes student athletes aren't necessarily always upfront with their intentions as far as scholarships goes and what programs they want to go to and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, man, Steve was a great guy and definitely a mentor for me when I was coaching. That's cool. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah,
glad you're
for sure. Yeah. So you guys have any comments on calf roping?
I think that Caleb Schmidt, he's been a force to be reckoned with for a long time. So it's cool, like you're saying, to see him get the round win, see him step up and to walk out of there on top. Marty Yates, like you said, he's also been outstanding for a long time and been in the hunt for years. And I think that I don't know much about him, never really met him or anything, but maybe a guy like that, the pressure of just going too fast. Maybe, a lot of times they're trying so damn hard to win, and
just
never.
Well, and when you've been in that position so frequently and haven't got there,
you start grinding. Like you start pushing, you start grinding, and you almost have to slow down to be fast. You almost have to slow down.
Like it just kind of starts to eat at you mentally.
Yeah, smooth is always faster in anything. If you're smooth and crisp on it, you're going to be faster than you are trying to be fast. And it's one of those opposite things in the world that works like that. It's like you have to do the opposite.
I used to hate when my mom said that to me.
Yeah, but
slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, right. That's the truth. I think we all get in that train of thought where you're just doing too much. You just need to slow down a little bit and go back to the basics. And I tell these young kids that we teach, especially in bareback riding, just think about 1 and 2, and that's all you need to think about. 3, 4, and 5.
There's a couple foundational moves.
Yeah. But I think Shane is in the driver's seat for the calf roping right now.
Oh, yeah.
He is. He's one of my athletes. He's been training hard and training smart, and he looks great. We saw that in round 1. He's also coming off of a very hard thing to do, which he lost his horse, and
I've been there.
I can't even imagine what that feels like, and to have it happen a week out from this and have to not only get through that, but find another horse, ride, mount that horse, and then go out there in round 1 and win is totally, it's so freaking cool. It's the coolest thing to me. And it shows a lot about his, not just his physical game, but his mental game is there. And he's going to be there every time doing the same thing every time. And if when the cards line up and he draws that calf he's going to win on, you can dang sure believe he's probably going to win on him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say is his mental game is got to be on point, because coming in and losing your horse like that, having the year he had, and then to have that happen right before the finals, and then to come in, step to the plate, and then knock it out of the park in the first round and do his job, win the round, and that had to be such an emotional.
You could see it.
The emotion for him, it was impressive to watch and great to see. So
yeah, I totally agree.
So I know in the first couple of rounds, his horse kind of spooked or stepped up. How did he work last night?
He was better last night. I think just when that crowd goes wild, I think it just kind of startles that horse a little bit. But Shane's done a great job of, as he's getting up, just whoa, just keeping that horse calm, getting back to him as quick as he can without startling him. I think it's just going to get better as the week goes on. So
well, and that's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of cowboys may not think of that it's just such a different environment in the Thomas and Mack than any other rodeo through the whole season.
Well, we saw that happen at the American. It cost Hunter Ream $1 million.
Yes.
That place went ballistic when he made that run, and his horse runs off. Because just that right there was just, because it was such a different atmosphere than that horse had ever been in, and just that adrenaline and that emotion hit it once. And now can you imagine? And that's there at Arlington, that great big open, the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. You're in Thomas and Mack with 17,000, 18,000 just on top of you.
Yeah.
Now I did hear, those cameras that they have in that stadium that go across the field. I guess one dropped like 10 feet in a matter of seconds, and that's what spooks that horse.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, but that
would make sense.
It was a camera that dropped. And just came up in that horse's eyesight and
just spooked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. See ya. Like an alien dropping from the sky.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, barrel racing.
Comment on the barrel racing because I didn't watch that.
Stevie Hillman.
I did.
13-70 wins it. Brittany Posey-Tanazi 13-72. Ivy Savins is 73 for third. Wenda Johnson's 13-77 fourth. Donna K. Rule strikes again, places in 2 rounds back-to-back, 13-78. Jordan Briggs, 13-83, wins the last check. The big news was Lisa Lockhart and Emily Beisel both hit, or not Lisa, excuse me.
And Haley.
Haley Kinzel and Lisa and Emily Beisel hitting barrels last night.
That changed some things.
It changed a lot of things.
Amanda Welsh is looking good in the average for sure.
Very good. Where'd it go here? I'm trying to figure out. Oh, where is it at?
That site is not user friendly, by the way.
No, it's not at all. I had the barrel racing up a minute ago now.
I don't know. I think at this stage in the barrel racing too, very often do you see different faces in the barrel racing on the stage getting that buckle. So I appreciate being able to meet and see some other faces. Not that I wish anyone like ill will, but I do appreciate seeing some new faces. It's nice. I mean, I think Haley Kinzel has come to the NFR and just swept it so frequently, and I don't know. It's nice to see some other faces. I wonder how bad Emily is feeling about the horse change at this point now.
I don't. I'm sure she feels a little bit, but you can't second guess yourself at this point. I think,
No.
You made that choice. But then again, we've only got 6 girls that are clean around the barrels out of 15. We've had 9 that have hit barrels, and we've seen it before where, you hit a barrel, you can climb your way back up to, third or fourth in the average. So there's a lot of rodeo left, and those horses are going to get tighter and tighter the more runs they make in there. So just because you hit one barrel, you don't want to hit a barrel. You want to give yourself a shot to win the average when it's all said and done. But like I say, we're going into round 4 tonight. We're not even to the halfway point, and we've only got 6 girls that are clean around them. So if you hit one barrel, you still have a shot to get a good average check. So I think
my dad,
and so will Haley and Lisa.
Yeah, my dad was telling me a story this morning about Sharon Cobald. I don't even know when it was, but she's a Wyoming gal. She, in the 10th round, hit a barrel to win the world and win the average. And I was like, oh, that would
all because that's all she was thinking about was don't hit these barrels.
Yes. Yeah, don't hit a barrel. Don't hit a barrel.
Put it out there.
Keep them up. Keep them up. I mean, that happened to me to make it to the college finals. All I had to do was leave the barrels up and keep my goat down. And clearly I switched it, and neither one of them happened. Like there's again so much to the mental game. If that's all you're thinking about instead of just riding and going,
you attract what you focus on. You know what I'm saying? What you focus on is what you attract. So
yes,
absolutely.
I will say that's why my social media feed has changed. Unfollow.
Yeah, law of attraction is huge. Like I've been a huge believer of that for a long time, but what you see, what you believe, and put in your brain all the time, that's probably what you're going to produce and see. So
yeah, I will add, starting out writing 3 gratitudes every morning seems minor, but when you know that you have to write 3 or 5 things down every day, you start to look for those things.
Yep.
You start seeking them.
Yep.
Yep. And then that's all you see. You don't even see the crap.
Yep.
Absolutely. How about the bull riding?
What about Creek Young in the Eliminator, or not the Eliminator pin, but there's only a handful of rides. You're 80 or 4, and then they go, "Hey, you want to re-ride? Yeah, I'll take a re-ride."
Yeah, I'll take that.
And Donnie Gay's like, "I don't know if I'd have taken it." And then, like Donnie said afterwards, "I don't know what I'm talking about." 92 on Evil Attention.
At least he admitted that.
I mean, that was pretty cool to see that cowboy do that. Because a lot of people would have just taken that score. I'm going to get a check. And he goes, "No, I'm here to win first." And that was awesome.
So I kind of have a funny story about Creek. We board some college kids board horses here. I'm probably going to get killed for telling this story. Some college kid boards their horses here, and she was telling me last night, like, they were at the NFR last year, her and her boyfriend, and this guy comes up to her boyfriend and starts talking bull riding and wants to talk to him, and he's like, I don't know who you are. I don't want to talk to you. Guess what? It was Creek Young. And so now she's constant. Like, she gives her boyfriend a hard time now because, like, oh yeah, you didn't even have time for him. Look at him now. Yeah. He wanted to be your friend. So, I mean, this guy kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. Obviously, you guys know him real well, but it seems like he made his jump pretty quick.
He's been riding great, and he's confident. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't seem like the pressure gets to him. He does what A, B, and C every single time he gets on, no matter what it is. And that is a kind of a testament to him taking that re-ride and being like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do A, B, and C perfectly again, and it's gonna be great. Mm-hmm. And that's all. He's got it, and that's all he needs. I think he just needs to keep doing what he's doing and keep rolling. I think that seeing Josh Frost have a great ride last night was a really cool thing. He's been riding outstanding all year. And I think it's kind of just taking everybody a little bit of time to get rolling in the bull riding, except for that first night where they rode everything.
Yeah, they rode 11 out of 15. But I think they said it last night or maybe been the night before that Josh, this is his second trip. That was his 13th bull, and he hadn't won a check yet. Mm-hmm. That was really cool to see. Just just for him, that like, okay. Okay, here we go. That was really cool. Boudreaux, after the finals he had last year, and he was my pick because he comes off winning the PBR, World Finals. I think he's going to just kill him at Arlington, and he had, just a horrendous finals. To see him win second last night, and then Parker Bredding places in back-to-back rounds, these guys are getting tapped off. Now, this is my thought. I don't know how JB passed a concussion protocol test, guys. I mean, just it looked like the lights were on, but nobody was home last night. I don't like saying that, but
are there some side effects still?
I think that we're not doctors, so we are not the ones. And obviously the professionals checked him out and said he was okay. And I actually got to talk with him before the round, and same old GB. I asked him why. I told him that he should stop falling off the top bunk and hurting his face, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, but no, he was same old JB and
good
about business. So
that's good. I can say, I know it was electric. They said the first night when Bad to the Bone hit, and the fans are excited he's there, and I just want to see him be there all week, and so that's awesome. So
I don't think he.
And then Sage last night, after he got bucked off, he was limping pretty good. I don't know if they said it was a knee or an ankle, or I'm not sure what.
I haven't chatted with him this morning, so I don't know exactly what was going on with that. But I think that you see a lot of guys get bucked off in the bull ride, and they get stepped on, and they get up limping for a second, and it just takes a minute to get it going. They're going to be sore. It's the NFR. It's we're getting into round 4 now. They've been on 3. They've been on an eliminator. They've been on 2 more, and then we're just about to repeat it again. So if you think that someone's not sore right now, that is not.
There's no way there's no way they got this deep in the season. Round 4 of the finals. It's and I think that's what people don't understand is they're like, well, these guys will rodeo all year long and go 3 or 4 rodeos a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 10 days of constant, plus your obligations, like you say, your signings and you're meeting with sponsors, and
it's different.
It's a marathon, and people don't understand
unlike
that.
any other sport. I mean, the only other sport that would compete back to back like this is baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can even compare that because it's so much different. They're so different.
Yeah.
Well, these guys they don't have trainers. They don't have buses. They don't have planes. They are driving. They're killing themselves to get there every day. And that's what people don't understand is they don't have these luxuries that regular professional athletes have. It's all on them.
Yeah. They're not getting on a private, or not a private plane, but a team plane that has all the amenities and just get to rest. And
it's just a lot different than any other sport out there. And, they had a nice rest coming into the NFR, which is good, but I also think it adds to some guys maybe being a little rusty when they come back and they're getting started the first couple of rounds,
Well, so who was it last night on the buckle presentation that had gone home to do some work and almost cut his thumb off?
I have no idea. But
I didn't watch the buckle presentation.
I was asleep.
And so Joe Beaver was like, man, November's no work November. When you qualify for the finals, it's no work November. You don't get hurt.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who it was, but I was like, that's pretty good. That would suck to qualify for the finals, go home, do some work, because all of them are, they got a ranch or something they got to go home to for a little while, and then injure yourself and not be able to go.
Exactly.
Luckily, I think it was like an offhand, but I can't remember who it was. If anybody watching knows that, let me know. But I was like, man, I can't imagine having something like that happen. No work November. I like it.
Yeah, right. Me too. That sounds nice.
I might just sign up for that anyways. Well, man, I thank you guys so much for coming right up on the 2-hour mark, which that's a really long time to sit in one spot. You guys are getting up. I'm glad. My kids are knocking on the door, so apparently it's time for me to go too. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I know that this was a little bit different than what we usually talk about, but super, super good information for anybody, really. I'd love to keep in touch with you guys and have you back on the platform, maybe for Outside the Arena after a little while, and talk more about what you guys do and how you guys do it, because we didn't even do that. But let's see, I think I put it on here. What is your website again?
It's championlivingfitness.com.
All right. I'm pretty sure I put it on there, but
anyone can find us on Instagram at champion.living. And then shameless plug, but we got a podcast called the Champion Living Podcast. It's got about 6 episodes into it. We got another one dropping Monday, tomorrow. Lots of cool information about fitness, nutrition, rodeo, how it all ties together, mindset. We talk a little bit about everything, but you can also find a lot of cool information on there.
Yeah, we'll talk, because I'd love to have you guys back on and talk a little bit more in depth about the programs you offer and how people can get involved with that. I think that's really great. Clearly something that's needed in this industry, and has kind of been missing for a while.
Forever.
Yeah. We're new
just
here.
found him on Instagram. I just followed. All right.
Awesome.
Well, I've been friends with Logan for a few years now, just from the college finals. So I kind of watched his transition. Man, I felt pain for you in 2020, because I knew you pulled that trigger and I was super excited, and then like everything just shut down. So
it did. But I can tell you honestly, like, I am so thankful for the way that things worked out. It couldn't be better to be a part of this company and to be able to still be involved in rodeo and to spend the time that I get to spend with my family and to live the lifestyle that I live. There's no way in a million years, when I turned in that notice of resignation at NMSU, that I could have ever imagined that it would have worked out this well. So it was a tough time, but man,
serendipitous.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on what you guys have done and where you're going. I think it's really exciting. Yeah, man, we'll touch base a little bit after the finals and after the new year and see what we can do together.
Sounds great.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good week, man.
Logan, thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, keep it up, Tony.
I will. Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Man, I know that all the things that we talked about today, it's not our norm, but that was amazing.
I mean, between Katie and Doug and Logan, that tied in so well. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, just the mental side of where these guys are after round 3 that have had heck so far. They haven't got a time, or, and we didn't even talk about it, but in the saddle bronc riding, Wyatt Casper's 0 for 3. So's Wade Sandell. It's kind of like Travis Graves and Dustin Negasquita. That it's got to be starting to weigh on their minds. And so to have Katie, I'm talking about the mental side of it, that was so cool. Way it just kind of flowed and tied in today. And got to give Jim Boy props for that one, for getting her on. And then talking with Logan and Doug about the physical side of it too. And they tie in so well with each other, but talking about the eliminator pin, and everything. It was an awesome show this morning, Heidi. I mean, that was really cool.
Hopefully we can, I hope we get shared. We didn't have as many viewers. We had right around 20 live viewers, but then y'all share this out, because there's some really good information. If you guys have kids that are in sports, or you have, clearly my table's a little wobbly, kids that are in sports, or even parenting tips in here about how to be a parent of a student athlete. It's different. And we had a quote up here, or a comment from Joe Foy, who is my husband's uncle. We've all seen at the rodeo, at wrestling, at football, the out of control parents. It's
the
hard to watch.
It
starts right here. It starts at home, and it starts with us. And I think instilling those tools, like Katie said, those tools now from a parent is crucial. Oh my gosh. So
we're round 4 tonight.
Round 4 tonight. It's going to turn. Hopefully, how do those guys get over that hump of 0-3? And are they thinking about it yet? Or is it going to be like 4-5 where they're like, oh my God.
Well, that's what I think. You get through round 4, and if it doesn't change, now it starts creeping in. Hey, I'm almost to the backside of the finals, and I got to run at 27,000 a night for 10 nights. Now I'm only doing it for 5 nights. Like I say, this is where they make or break their year. This is where their financial security for next year comes from, is the NFR. Mm-hmm. And so, there's so, more than just the competition side that factors in to their mental game, I believe. So.
Yeah. Well, I think Jim Boy has somebody lined out. I can't remember. Didn't he text us? We don't do all of our planning last minute, you guys.
Just some of it.
Because it's hard, especially when we get contestants on. That can be super tricky. I was going to talk about who we have tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't want to waste y'all's time looking on my text messages. So,
but we do have Luke confirmed for Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. So now it's public. Luke Branquinho is going to be joining us. That should be fun. I think I can just sit back, take myself out of the screen and watch you guys go back and forth.
You have to referee. It's probably what you're going to have to do. But
Oh, okay. Well, I better not then.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I'll do a little sign off here. Man, I didn't even talk about sponsors or anything this morning. Whoops. Well, I was excited. I knew it was going to be good.
That was a good show.
I will do a wrap up. Tony, thank you so much again, as usual.
You're
have
welcome.
A wonderful Sunday.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Tomorrow.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Heidi.
Thanks. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. So I see my viewers are going down, so I got to get my sponsors out there before I lose everybody. Cinch Jeans and Shirts, and also Williams Art Studio. We want to give a shout out to them. If y'all have not seen Williams Art Studio, head over to conwilliams.com and check out the feed in Facebook. They have just released a new sculpture that I don't believe has even been casted yet. And we have naming rights. So there's going to be a little naming competition for that piece. Scroll down, see which way. Scroll down a little bit and you can see a picture of that, and just drop the name that you have for it in the comments, and we will do a little contest for that. Con Williams Art Studio can be found in Las Vegas next week if you guys are going to be there, Wednesday through Friday at the Working Ranch Expo. I believe it's at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Head over there to see. And dude, Bullfrog Creatives, make sure you mention Bullfrog Creatives because you can get 10% off any Christmas gifts from Con Williams Art Studio. And we are so happy to be bringing you all the good content. Well, content anyways. For the NFR Hangover, again, the brainchild of Jim Boy Hash, and we're just happy to be able to provide you some entertainment, and the only morning show that we know of. Let me get my production buttons over here. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Hope y'all made it to church or can get to church after this. All right, catch you tomorrow.
Perfection almost looks easy. But it isn't. Here's to those who go the distance.